Greetings, Light Tribe. Janine Palmer here, Spirit Silver Moon for Standing Holy Hierophant. And I was going to do something briefly on the Antakarana from Diana Cooper's book, A Little Light on Ascension, or her newer version on that book is called A New Light on Ascension. This is the older copy. Okay, so to share information about the Antakarana, which is very interesting and helpful to people who are on a spiritual path. People who are drawn to understanding something deeper. And this isn't for everyone. Yeah, it just depends on, I suppose, where a person is at spiritually. So, it's not a long chapter, but I'll read a little bit of this. Imagine continents separated by oceans. On one continent, is the personality of the disciple, and on the next is the soul or higher self. If the personality is uninterested in a spiritual life, it wanders about on its continent in isolation. However, when it hears the wake-up call, it is motivated to connect with the soul. Then it starts to build a bridge of spiritual practice across the ocean. It sets up a telephone link to communicate that it is coming. The soul listens and watches to assess that the disciple is in earnest. And when it really makes progress with the building of its bridge, the soul starts to build a bridge from its end so that the two can merge. When the soul and the personality have come together, they communicate their intention of connecting with the monad. Then they start to build a bridge towards it. The same thing happens. As soon as they have dedicated their spiritual intent and started work on the new bridge, the monad or father lovingly builds from his end to meet them. First they meet, then they merge as one, which is ascension. Then, of course, the ascended master starts to build a bridge towards the Godhead. So the Antakarana is a rainbow bridge built between the personality of the soul and the monad, then on to God. The bridge is built with prayer, mental discipline, visualization, meditation, and other spiritual practices. The invocation of the Mahatma energy speeds up the process, which she talks about in another chapter in this book. When the disciple sets out to strengthen the thread towards the soul, it is the spiritual vibration of its work which makes it thicker. First, the spiritual, emotional, mental, and the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies must be integrated. In other words, we are no longer enamored of purely physical or material satisfaction, nor of sensory pleasures. We start to control our emotions. We use willpower for self-discipline rather than for power struggles with others. We are interested in acquiring spiritual knowledge. When our desire to be God realized is more important than the temptations of life, when we can no longer be deflected or discouraged from our spiritual path by others, we are on our way and the bridge is projected towards the soul. The soul is always connected by a cord to the pineal gland of the disciple, which is strengthened by knowledge and knowledge and proper use of the mind. The cord is a mental, spiritual connection. Just as there is always a thread from the soul to the disciple, so the silver cord connects the monad to our heart center. The silver cord is activated and strengthened with spiritual love energy. Psychics always talk of death taking place when the silver cord breaks and the spirit can return to the divine light, which is the monad. I did the other video previously about the monad from her book. So, at the fourth initiation, the soul merges with the personality, which is then guided by the monad. At the fifth initiation, the three rope bridges blend together to form a bridge of light, and there is a meeting of soul-infused personality, higher self, and monad. At the sixth initiation, they integrate completely and the body turns into light. The initiate has now become an ascended master and can start building the bridge towards the Godhead. The Antakarana is a bridge of light which allows us to move towards the monad. It is the only way to freedom. We build the Antakarana over lifetimes. At this time, there are great opportunities and much spiritual help available to enable us to complete the work and merge with our monad. It's all speeding up. So there are little exercises in there that talk about things that we can do. It's important to be in alignment in so many ways. And daily practices that we do can help with that. Shedding the old to make room for the new is extremely helpful as far as energy healing work. Something to study more deeply if you're not that familiar with it. So some people really have that question, okay, why am I here? Why are we here? So some people are guided towards something higher through religions or whatever. And some people do that other ways other than that, or sometimes it's a combination of different things, but it really comes from within. It really does need to come within. Like when someone discovers a calling, there is something within them. It's like something that's recognized by their soul, or they're drawn to it. Like they just know they have to do this thing. It's so important and so meaningful and so strong. It's very powerful that they feel called to do it. And it's typically for the greater good. And a lot of the time, it comes after suffering or loss or some huge shift that it's like a wake-up call, that it redirects you, it changes your focus, your direction, and like changing perspectives. So some people are very drawn to this. Some people aren't there yet. They're still maybe so focused on the material things, or like she was saying, physical things. And some people are trying to fill a hole with things or experiences, okay? And they don't even probably realize they're trying to do it. That they don't, I should say, they don't realize that they're trying to fill a hole, or some do realize that they're trying to fill a hole. And the other thing that was discussed in the previous video about the monad was when we have soul loss, when there's this emptiness. And so there is work that we can do to bring that back into more fullness. But it's a road, it's a path, it's a crooked path, it's a spiral that each individual takes by their choice, how they're drawn or called. And everybody does it differently. And it's all in divine timing. So anyway, that's all for this one. I just wanted to share a little bit about the Antakarana because it's pretty interesting. Peace.